Get ready for a quick quest guide for the one ridiculously long, small favour quest, in which the main rewards for completing are 2 10,000 experience lamps that can be used in any skill over level 30, a steel keyring that can hold a range of keys, access to the Feldip Hills glider, the ability to make Guthix rests, and 2 quest points. You'll need to have completed both the Rune Mysteries and Shilo Village quests before taking on this one. Additionally, as this quest involves a heap of travel, it's also helpful to have completed the Grand Tree quest for access to Gnome gliders, as well as the Plague City quest for access to Ardougne teleports. In terms of skills, you'll need 36 agility, 30 smithing, 25 crafting, and 18 herblore. Having 45 combat is also recommended to defeat a level 92 rock monster, as well as 3 dwarf gang members between level 40 and 50 that are fought in multi-combat at the same time. Then when it comes to items, there's a heap that you'll need, including 4 steel bars, 1 iron bar, 1 bronze bar, 2 Guam Leaf herbs, 1 Marrentill herb, 1 Harralander herb, a bowl of hot water that can be made by using a bowl of water on a range or fire, an empty cup, and a pot that's empty. On top of this, bring along around 20k coins to cover all potential expenses during this quest and for getting to the quest start too. Then when it comes to recommended items, you'll want to be wearing a mix of weight reducing and defensive armor, with more defensive armor if you're a lower combat level. Additionally, I'd recommend 3 stamina potions to help with all of the running around too. Now you'll also want around 4 to 12 pieces of food to help with the combat in this quest, which can be banked at the quest start, as well as a weapon to help with the fights. For the dwarf gang members, you can use whatever combat setup and weapon that you like, however it can be helpful to have some melee defenses as you can't safe spot these. Note that if needed, these can be banked at the quest start. Then for the rock golem, provided you're using melee, you'll want the best pickaxe that you can use. And know that this rock golem negates 67% of damage from all other sources besides pickaxes. This being said, you can also safe spot this boss, and if you plan to do so, then having a magic staff and some runes to cast your best magic spell is ideal. Again, know that the pickaxe, mage gear and runes, and additionally your food can all be banked at the quest start. Now we need to talk teleports, and there's a lot that you'll need. This includes a fully charged skills necklace, a fully charged amulet of glory, a fully charged ring of dueling, a charged combat bracelet, 3 Varrock teleports, 6 Camelot teleports, and 3 Ardougne teleports, or if you haven't completed the Plague City quest and you can't use Ardougne teleports, then you'll want a second fully charged skills necklace. Note that one of these Ardougne teleports is for getting to the quest start. You'll also want 2 Falador teleports, however with 10 construction and 2 scrolls of redirection from the Nightmare Zone, you can alternatively use Tavali teleports, or simply teleport to your house if it's located in Tavali. Know that having Tavali teleports will save you a little bit of time here. Additionally, you'll want a Feldip Hills teleport scroll, or alternatively if you've completed a Fairy Tale Part 2, then you can bring any teleport to a fairy ring, such as a Salve Graveyard teleport. If using fairy rings, then don't forget to bring along your drum and staff as well. While not essential, if you have 40 construction and 2 scrolls of redirection from the Nightmare Zone, then you can also save some time by having 2 Brimhaven teleports or house teleports if your house is located in Brimhaven. Note that one of these would be for getting to the quest start. Also, I'd recommend equipping your glory, ring of dueling, and additionally your combat bracelet to save inventory space. Finally, you'll want at least 1 empty inventory space at the quest start. Now you can begin this quest in Yanni Salika's house within northwestern Shilo Village. The easiest way to get here is to head to the travel cart in northern Brimhaven, either by using a Brimhaven or house teleport if your house is located in Brimhaven before running northeast, or by teleporting to Ardougne before running south to the docks and right-clicking and selecting Brimhaven on Captain Barnaby before crossing the gangplank and running a tad south. Alternatively, you can use your charged glory to teleport to Karamja before running west. Once at the travel cart, right-click it and select Pay Fare to then arrive in Shilo Village, and then run north across the bridge and into Yanni's house just a tad further up from the bridge. To start the quest, talk to Yanni and firstly ask, is there anything else interesting to do around here? Before then selecting yes to officially begin the One Small Favour quest, and then finally saying, I'll get going, and finishing off the chat. Now exit Yanni's house and run south across the bridge before going southeast for a while and going through the wooden gate. Then go through the metal gate and finally climb over the broken cart. Afterwards, just run southwest a tad whereby you'll see a jungle forester. Ensure that you have one free inventory space and talk to the jungle forester before saying, I need to talk to you about red mahogany. And then saying, okay, I'll take your axe to get it sharpened, to be handed a blunt axe. Following this, use your Amulet of Glory to teleport to Draenor Village before running a decent ways west to the Battle Axe shop in Port Sarim, using the Underwall shortcut if you have at least 42 agility. Now talk to Brian and firstly ask, do you sharpen axes? And then, look, can you sharpen this cursed axe or what? And then, okay, I'll do it. I'll go and see Aggie, before finishing the chat. Next, use your Amulet of Glory to teleport to Draenor Village once again, before going a tad north and then a little ways west into Aggie's house. Talk to Aggie and firstly ask, could I ask you about being a character witness? And then, let me guess, you're going to ask me to do you a favor. And finally, oh, okay, I'll see if I can find Jimmy, before finishing the chat. After this, exit Aggie's house and run east for a while past the jail until you reach the dungeon sign that marks the entrance to the Ham hideout. After arriving at it, select to picklock the trapdoor until you open it, and then climb down the trapdoor into the hideout. Once inside, run southeast, going through the central area and into the most southeastern of the outer rooms within the hideout. Inside this room, you'll find Johannes. Talk to Johannes and firstly say, I'm looking for Jimmy the Chisel. And after some more dialogue whereby you learn he's a hostage, say, and I suppose you need me to do you a favor. And follow up with, okay, Jimmy has to be worth more than a few scrawny chickens, before finishing off the chat. Following this, run northwest all the way to where you entered the Ham hideout and climb the ladder to exit it. Then once you're outside, run northeast and head into Fred the farmer's house. Talk to Fred and say, I need to talk to you about Jimmy. And then go through the chat where you learn he doesn't have enough chickens to save Jimmy. When the chat finishes, exit Fred's house and run east for a decent ways, crossing the bridge over the River Lum before turning and running north a short ways and heading into Seth's farmhouse surrounded by chickens. Chat to Seth, and after he asks you to do him a favor, say, oh, okay, I guess it's not that much further to Varrock, before finishing the chat. Now teleport to Varrock and run a tad northeast to Horvik's armor shop. Talk to Horvik and say, hi, I need to talk to you about chicken cages, before learning that he's unwell and saying, okay, I guess one good turn deserves another. Then when the chat ends, you'll have handed over 3 of your steel bars. Now run southwest for a short while and head into the apothecary's house. Once inside, talk to the apothecary and select Talk About One Small Favour, and go through a long chat where he accidentally drops salts that need to be kept in an airtight pot, before asking you to replace them. Say, I guess I can go to the barbarian village, and finish off the chat. Next, use your skills necklace to teleport to the cooking guild and then run west to barbarian village, or just run west to the village from the apothecary's house. Once you're inside the village, head into the most southern building filled with pottery things. Inside, talk to Tassie Slipcast and after a rather long chat say, okay, I'll deal with Hammerspike, before going through the rest of the chat. Following this, use your skills necklace to teleport to the mining guild before running northwest, using the crevice shortcut if you have at least 42 agility or looping around without it. And then run further west to Hammerspike's hangout at the most western part of the mines. Alternatively, you can follow the path on screen, running northwest to the Dwarven mine entrance, and after heading down into it, going south and then west to Hammerspike. Once you've arrived, talk to Hammerspike and firstly say, oh come on, do something nice for Tassie. Then after some more chatter ask, have you always been a gangster? To learn that he wants to be a druid. Love this for him. Say, okay, another favor. I think I can manage that. And finish off the chat. Now we need to head to Sanfew's house in Tavali. For this you can use the Falador teleport before running southwest and climbing over the crumbling wall obstacle, before then running northwest and then further north to Sanfew's house. Alternatively, you can use a Tavali teleport or house teleport if your house is located in Tavali before running a little south. After arriving, climb up the staircase and then talk to Sanfew before asking, are you taking any new initiates? And afterwards, do you accept dwarves? And then, a dwarf I know wants to become an initiate. Following some more chatter, you're tasked with 2 favors and you'll want to say, yup, it's a deal, and continue through the chat. Now use your bowl of hot water on your empty cup to obtain a cup of hot water. Next, use your Harralander herb with your cup of hot water, and this will use up all the herbs in your inventory and create a Guthix rest drink. Be careful not to drink this yourself, and note that you can now drop your empty bowl. Next, we need to head to the Gnome on White Wolf Mountain. If you've completed the Grand Tree quest, then you'll want to use your Ring of Dueling to teleport to Emmy's Arena before running west and a little south to the Gnome Glider. Then select Glider on the Gnome Captain and choose to travel to Sindarpos. Alternatively, if you haven't completed the Grand Tree, then you can just run up the mountain by following the path shown on screen. After arriving, talk to Captain Lamarge, and then say, I have a special tea here for you from Sanfew. And then after a long chat with the captain, say, okay, I'll go get you some TRASH before finishing off the chat. Following this, teleport to Camelot before running southeast to the general store sign in Catherby, whereby you'll find Arhine. Talk to Arhine and firstly say, I need to talk trash to you. And then following a heap more chatter say, yes, okay, I'll do it. And finish off the chat. Now teleport to Camelot once again and then run west for a while before entering the building just north of the chapel. Inside, talk to Fantuti, please get a more normal name Farsight, and firstly ask, hi, can you give me a weather forecast? And after a heap more chatter say, what can I do to help? And after he asks for a favor say, yes, okay, I'll do it, before finishing off the chat. Following this, use your skills necklace to teleport to the fishing guild and then run a tad east to the cave entrance before entering it. Once inside, run north and then head into the open room at the most northeastern area of the cave, which will spark a small cutscene. When the cutscene ends, locate the sculpture on the eastern wall, and then right-click on it and select to search it to see some text pointing you to Wizard Crompety. After spacebarring to finish the text, you'll want to then use an Ardougne teleport before running northeast to Wizard Crompety's house in the northeastern corner of the city. Alternatively, you can use your skills necklace to teleport to the fishing guild once again before running southeast from there, following the map shown on screen. After arriving, talk to the wizard and firstly say, I need to talk to you about a girl stuck in some rock. And then after a heap more chatter say, oh, okay, one more small favor isn't going to kill me. I hope. And then finish off the chat. Before leaving, take a moment to grab the hammer and chisel from the floor at the south of the wizard's house. Make sure that you don't forget to grab these. Following this, if you have 15 fishing, then use your minigame teleport to the fishing trawler and then run a tad southeast to Tyndall Marchant. Alternatively, you can use a Camelot teleport before running southeast to the docks, and then selecting charter before selecting to travel to Port Khazard and selecting OK if prompted. Then after arriving, cross the gangplank and head a tad north, whereby you'll find Tyndall Marchant. Now talk to Tyndall and say, Wizard Crompety sent me to get some iron oxide, and after he asks you to fix his mattress say, okay, I'll do it, to then be handed a stodgy mattress. Following this, we need to head to Rance in Feldip Hills. For this, ideally use your Feldip Hills teleport scroll and run a decent ways northeast all the way to him at the big chompy bird hunting quest start symbol. Or alternatively, you can teleport to any fairy ring, for example by using a Salve Graveyard teleport, and then run northeast and use the AKS fairy ring code before running a decent ways northeast to reach Rance. Now talk to Rance and say, I need to talk to you about a mattress. before adding, "Can you fill this mattress with feathers?" And following this say, "Okay, I'll see what I can do," before finishing the chat. Afterwards run west a decent ways to the Gnome glider, being careful of the aggressive wolves and ogres along the way. Once you reach the glider, you'll find a small gnome pilot nearby. Talk to the pilot and begin by saying, "Rance said I should help you finish this project," and then follow up with, "Yes, I'll take a look at them," before finishing the chat. Now you'll be surrounded by 8 gnome landing lights. One at a time, search them to obtain an uncut sapphire, opal, red topaz, or jade. After obtaining each one, use your chisel on it to cut it, and then use the cut gem back on the landing light to fix it. Now there's a chance that you can crush the opals, red topazes, and jades, and in this case you can talk to the pilot and tell him that you need a new gem to fix the lights, before saying, "Okay, here's 500 coins, I'll buy one," to get a replacement uncut gem. So of course do this to have an extra attempt to cut the gem for the landing light. Unfortunately, the gnome pilot will only sell you 2 extras of each type of gem, and if you crush any of the originals and both of the extras, then you'll sadly need to source an extra gem yourself. For this I'd use a Varrock teleport and head to the GE before buying the missing gem, and then buy an extra Feldip Hills teleport to get back to the glider. Note that you can buy the gem in cut form and it will work for repairing the landing lights. Once all 8 of the landing lights have been fixed, it's time for part 2 of this quest to start. Yup, retracing our steps to complete all the favors. To start, talk to the gnome pilot and say, "I've fixed all the lights." And after a short chat, a cutscene will take place where the lights turn on. When it ends, just finish off the chat. Next, run east back to Rance, being careful of the aggressive wolves and ogres along the way. After arriving at Rance, talk to him and say, "Okay, I've helped the gnome. He shouldn't bother you anymore." And then continue through the chat to have your mattress fixed. It's now time to return to Port Khazard. As your minigame teleport is likely on cooldown, you'll now want to use your Camelot teleport before running southeast to the docks and then selecting Charter before selecting to travel to Port Khazard and selecting OK if prompted. After arriving, cross the gangplank and head a tad north where you'll find Tyndall Marchant. Talk to Tyndall and immediately tell him, "I have the mattress," and continue the chat to obtain iron oxide. Following this, teleport to Ardougne and then run northeast to Wizard Crompety's house. Without Ardougne teleports, you can instead use a skills necklace to teleport to the fishing guild and follow the path shown on screen. After arriving at the wizard's house, talk to him and begin by saying, "I have that iron oxide you asked for," to then obtain the animate rock scroll. Scroll in hand, run west along the northern border of Ardougne all the way to the house just below the bank. Outside of it along its eastern wall will be pigeon cages. Pick up 5 of these cages, and afterwards head a tad north into the bank for a quick stop to gear up to fight a level 92 safe spottable enemy. Here you can deposit your chisel, and if using melee then you'll want some food and the best pickaxe you can wield, as this enemy takes 67% reduced damage from any non-pickaxe weapons. Alternatively, you can bring a magic setup and safe spot this boss, but just know that it might be a little bit slow. If you're low leveled and are worried about this fight, then if needed you can deposit your pigeon cages to bring more food. Also, if you don't have access to Ardougne teleports, then you'll want to swap to your second fully charged skills necklace now as well. Once you've banked and you're ready, then use your skills necklace to teleport to the fishing guild and then run a tad east to the cave entrance before entering it. Once inside, run north for a little while and then head into the open room at the most northeastern area of the cave. Now stand around the middle of the room and select to read the animate rock scroll, which will fire off to the side and make Slagilith come to life and attack you. Either equip your pickaxe and fight Slagilith head on, praying protect from melee if you have access to it, or alternatively run to the eastern wall of the room and afterwards head a little further north, from which point the rock golem will get stuck and you'll be able to safe spot the monster. Once again, a reminder that anything outside of using a pickaxe has 67% reduced damage, but thankfully Slagilith only has 60 hit points. After the rock monster is defeated, you can pick up its drops if you like, although ensure that you have 3 empty inventory spaces. Then stand in the middle of the room and once again select to read the animate rock scroll, which will release Petrified from the wall. Now make sure that you go through the dialogue with her until she disappears. Once she's disappeared, use a Camelot teleport and then run west for a while and head into the house that's just above the church. After arriving inside, talk to Fantushi, whatever you call it, Farsight, and firstly say, "I've released Petra, she should have returned." And after some more chatter say, "I'll run you through if you don't give me that weather report." Following some more chatter, ask, "Why can't you get a clear picture?" And then, "Which special Seer's tools do you mean?" And afterwards, "You're talking in riddles, just give me a straight answer." And after going through even more chatter, ask, "What do you mean, special combination of items?" To finally realize that he's talking about a weather vane and that he's a fraud. Now climb up the ladder in the northwestern corner of the room, then run east through a few rooms and climb another ladder to reach the roof, before running west a bit until you locate a weather vane. Firstly, right-click on the weather vane and select to search it to find out more about it. Following this, use your hammer on the weather vane to whack it. Next, ensure that you have 3 empty inventory spaces, and then right-click and search the weather vane again to obtain 3 broken parts. Broken parts obtained, run east and climb down the ladder, confirming yes that you want to go down, before heading west through the rooms and down another ladder to reach the ground floor. Afterwards, run a tad north into the building with the anvil symbol. Now use each of the 3 broken parts on one of the anvils inside to repair them, consuming your remaining bronze, iron, and steel bar in the process. Afterwards, run south and head back into the Seer's house before climbing up the ladder in the northwestern corner of it. Then run east through a few rooms and climb another ladder to reach the roof, before running west a bit back to the weather vane. Then one at a time, use each of the 3 now fixed parts on the weather vane. And after this, you'll have repaired it and see it start wiggling. Now that it's fixed, run east and climb down the ladder, confirming yes that you want to go down, before heading west through the rooms and down another ladder to reach the ground floor. Now talk to whatever you call him, Farsight, once more and then say, "I've fixed the weather vane," and go through the chat, which will see you obtain a weather report. Report in hand, teleport to Camelot and then run southeast to the general store icon in Catherby. After arriving, talk to Arhine and then say, "I have the weather report for you," and then go through the rest of the chat. Now before continuing, briefly dip into Catherby Bank northeast. Here deposit your hammer and pickaxe if you have it, and potentially your safe spotting magic gear too. And then ensure that you have gear and some food in order to defeat 3 level 40s in Multicombat without any safe spots. Also, if you previously deposited your 5 pigeon cages, then I'd withdraw them now too. Once you're ready, we need to head to the Gnome on White Wolf Mountain. If you've completed the Grand Tree quest, then you'll want to use your Ring of Dueling to teleport to Emir's Arena before running west and a little south to the Gnome Glider. Then select Glider on the Gnome Captain and choose to travel to Sindarpos. If you haven't completed the Grand Tree, then you can alternatively just run up the mountain by following the path shown on screen now. After arriving, talk to Captain Blamage and ask, "Hey there, did you get your trash?" before finishing off the dialogue. Now we need to head to Sanfu's house in Tavali. For this, you can use a Falador teleport before running southwest and climbing over the crumbling wall obstacle, before then running northwest and then further north to Sanfu's house. Alternatively, you can use a Tavali teleport or house teleport if your house is located in Tavali before running a little south. After arriving, climb up the staircase and then talk to Sanfu before saying, "Hi there, the gnome pilot has agreed to take you to see the ogres," and go through the chat, where he'll accept the dwarf as an initiate. Following this, use your skills necklace to teleport to the mining guild before running northwest, using the crevice shortcut if you have at least 42 agility or looping around without it, and then run further west to Hammerspike's hangout at the most western part of the mines. Alternatively, you can also run there by following the path shown on screen to the Dwarven mine and then back to Hammerspike. Now make sure that you're ready to fight 3 dwarves between level 40 and 50 at the same time, and then talk to Hammerspike, where he tells you he's changed his mind and he wants to be a gangster anyway. Then talk to him again, which prompts him to call his 3 gang buddies to attack you. You'll now need to defeat all 3 of the dwarf gang members at the same time. Honestly though, they're pretty weak. If you have protect from melee, then that'll help, but otherwise just kill all 3 of them at your own pace. After they've been defeated, talk to Hammerspike again and go through the chat, whereby he'll forgive Tassie's loan. Following this, use your skills necklace to teleport to the cooking guild and then run west into Barbarian Village and into the most southern pottery building. Inside, talk to Tassie and go through the chat, whereby she'll give you a piece of soft clay and teach you how to make pot lids. Now select to use the potter's wheel in the building and choose to make a pot lid. Then use your unfired pot lid on the pottery oven, and finally use your newly fired pot lid with your empty pot to obtain an airtight pot. Airtight pot obtained, use your Varrock teleport to travel to Varrock before running southwest to the apothecary's house. Once inside, talk to the apothecary and select Talk about One Small Favour, before going through the chat to obtain some breathing salts. Afterwards, ensure that you have your 5 pigeon cages on you, grabbing them from the nearby bank if you don't, and then run to Horvik's place just northeast of Varrock Square. Inside, talk to Horvik and say, I have the tincture and breathing salts. When the chat ends, talk to him once again and say, I have the 5 pigeon cages you asked for. And after some more chatter, you'll then end up with 5 chicken cages. Following this, use your combat bracelet to teleport to the Champions Guild, and then run a decent way southeast, travelling south of the wheat field and further southeast to Seth Grote's farm and into his house. Simply talk to Seth and go through the chat. Once it finishes, use your Amulet of Glory to teleport to Draenor Village and then run east past the jail and further east until you reach the dungeon sign that marks the entrance to the Ham hideout. After arriving at it, select to picklock the trapdoor until you open it, and then climb down the trapdoor into the hideout. Once inside, run southeast, going through the central area and into the most southeastern of the outer rooms within the hideout. Inside this room, you'll find Johannes. Talk to Johannes and then say, You're in luck, I've managed to swing that chicken deal for you, before going through the chat, where he agrees to release Jimmy. Once the chat ends, again use your Amulet of Glory to teleport to Draenor Village before running north and then a little west and heading into Aggie's house. Talk to Aggie and say, Good news, Jimmy has been released. And after going through the chat, Aggie will agree to help you. Following this, exit Aggie's house and then go a tad east to exit the dead end before looping around to go west and travelling that way until you reach the battle shop in Port Sarim. Inside, talk to Brian and begin by saying, I've returned with good news, and then go through the chat to be handed a sharpened axe. Axe in hand, we now need to head to the travel cart in northern Brimhaven, either by using a Brimhaven or house teleport if your house is located in Brimhaven before running northeast, or by running south from the axe store along the docks to the most southern part of them, where you'll find some charter crew members. Select charter on them and then choose to charter to Brimhaven before selecting OK if prompted, before crossing the gangplank and running southeast to the travel cart. Alternatively, you can use your charged glory to teleport to Karamja before running west. Once at the travel cart, right-click it and select Pay Fare to then arrive in Shilo Village. Once you're in Shilo Village, run east for a little while and choose to go through the wooden gate, then go through the metal gate, and finally climb over the broken cart. Afterwards, just run southwest a tad whereby you'll find the Jungle Forester. Talk to the Jungle Forester and say, Good news, I have your sharpened axe, before going through the chat to obtain some red mahogany logs. Logs in hand, run a tad northeast and select Follow on Mossel Ray to be transported inside Shilo Village. Then run northwest for a little while before heading north over the bridge, and going into Yanni Salika's house just to your north. Talk to Yanni and say, "Here's the red mahogany you asked for." And after a short break, the chat will resume. Continue through it where you crash out because your efforts aren't appreciated. After another short break, the chat resumes again and you'll want to go through it to get a keyring. Then after yet another short break, the chat resumes and you're given 2 antique lamps before bam, quest complete. In addition to the keyring and the 2 10k experience lamps that can be used on any skill over level 30, you'll also now have access to the Feldip Hills glider, the ability to make Guthix rests, and 2 quest points. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you in the next quest.